All right, what is up, Utah fans? This is Joseph back with the Utah Utes Football Digest. And Utah just picked up wide receiver Ryan Davis from New Mexico. He was one of the stars of this offense last year. I was under the impression that he was out of eligibility, but he's coming back for a sixth year. It's very exciting, and he is a huge pickup. I actually talked about him when I made the Jason Beck video saying, wow, this guy might even be more impressive than Luke Wysong. And then diving deeper in, I thought he was out of eligibility. So the fact that we picked this kid up is fantastic, and I couldn't be more excited to have him, guys. He really is a star in this offense. Make sure you guys smash that like button. That'll help get the video out to more Utah fans. Also, comment down below, what do you guys think of Luke Wysong? And then also, as a lot of you guys know, I've been in Philadelphia for the past 4 or 5 days, something like that. So I haven't been able to make any content for you guys, and so much has been happening. It was a really fun trip. We were staying right in Center City. It was very cold, but it was so cool to be there around Christmas time and so much fun. But I owe you guys a lot of videos. And as an early Christmas present, I'm going to load you guys up with videos today. So do two things. If you're excited about that, comment down below. Let me know you appreciate the time I'm taking to make all these videos. But then two, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. And if you are already subscribed, click the notification bell because I'm going to be dishing out a ton of content today, and it's going to be overload a little. I'm not expecting a ton of views on these videos, but make sure, the hardcore of you that really want to watch every video, turn the notifications on so you can get alerted. And on that note, let's dive in. Let's check out Ryan Davis. Okay, guys, and here is Ryan Davis's PFF profile. So we'll check it out here. So one thing that stands out to me right off the bat in this past year is 1 year with Jason Beck where he was able to click with this offense and thrive in it. He went for 747 yards in this Jason Beck offense and caught 3 touchdowns with the receiving grade of 75.8, which is just a few points behind what Luke Wysong did, which everyone was so excited about him. I got to be honest, I might be more excited about Ryan Davis, but let's dive in and check it out. So right out the gate, what stands out to me is a very consistent year, right? There's a few below average to slightly bad games. Air Force, Montana State, and Arizona. Montana State's really low level talent. So is what it is there. You're not that concerned about that. It's not like you were playing great talent. He just had a bad game, off game. And then Arizona, decent talent, pretty good SP4 talent. He didn't do great there. But then I also think you see this great grade against Auburn in a 70.5. That's a good grade. You got to be happy about that, right? So I'm not worried about his ability to compete against P4, considering he has one good grade, one below average to bad grade, but one good grade. So don't stress about that. But outside of that, you look, guys, it's all average to above average to good grades, basically game in and game out. And what that tells me is we're going to get a consistent performer that is just, game in, game out, might not have crazy games all the time, but is going to give you consistent performance and show up for each game and be a guy that'll, game in, game out, just make a few catches, make a few plays, get a few first downs. I like to see that. And now we go ahead and go down here, guys. So taking a look at his entire time playing football, this past year was his first time really clicking. So he obviously clicked super well with Jason Beck and had way more receiving yards this year than any other year. And I think, just side note, that's a really good sign for some of our young receivers where Jason Beck should be able to work these guys in. Seems like it must be a simple offense that isn't hard to understand, and most guys can get in there and start to make plays right away. Jason Beck had young receivers, 2 of them go for over 300 yards. Anyways, back onto Ryan Davis. Looking at these numbers here, you can see in his career, he went for 1,284 yards, 64.7 receiving percentage. So that means if he gets targeted, how many of those targets are caught? A little low. 64.7 is a little low, and 61.4 is pretty low for last year. So a small, note of concern there. But you look at the drop percentage, it's not like he's dropping passes 4.5, 5.3. That's a very low drop percentage. And then this season where he has the 13.3 drop percentage, he didn't get a ton of targets that season, so it's not a big sample size. But in the seasons where he did get a good sample size, he didn't drop almost anything. He has 1 fumble is in his entire career, so that's a good sign there, right? Really good numbers there. And then when we look over here at his snap percentages, whether it's slot or out wide, he's got a bit of a hybrid, which you got to like to see, right? So um, he's playing out wide most of the time, which means he's going against the best corners, but also he's shifty and versatile to where if he does need to go inside, he's able to do that as well. 35% of his snaps were 34.2% of his snaps were on the inside. So good look there. Yards per route run, over 2 yards per route run. Really good sign. And then this is what I like to see. Like I said, the reception percentage wasn't super high, but the ADOT, the average depth of target, is over 10 yards almost every season. And in the seasons where he did very well, it's 11.3 and 12.3. And what that means, guys, is the depth of target. He is catching the ball downfield, right? So he's not just making these little dink and dunk plays. Like his yak yards aren't huge. It's not bad. I mean, 3 yards on deep field throws is really good to see. But he is going downfield and making first down catches. So he's kind of, when I look at that, guys, he's averaging 13.8 yards per catch. And when I look at that, that tells me we're getting a guy that Devin Dampier likes to shoot the ball down deep to, which is really a good sign and very exciting for the future of this offense. Now, moving over to his ESPN profile, you can see here 1,282 total yards. I don't think he has any rushing yards throughout his career. That's a little unique. He has done some returns, but nothing worth talking about. Caught 3 touchdowns last year. Boom. And game in, game out, you can see here, guys, he had some big games, 100 yards against Auburn, right? You like to see him doing that against P4 talent. Arizona, only 31 yards. Utah State, 77. And Colorado State, he went for 146 yards. Clearly the best game of his career. So very impressive there. And again, no rushing yards, but that is Ryan Davis. I'll give you guys my final thoughts here in a second. Okay, guys. So final thoughts on Ryan Davis. I think one, I'm not going to hide the fact that I'm very excited, right? Weird time in the transfer portal world. We've got a bunch of guys commit and then decommit, nightmare, right? But um, I'm still really excited about Ryan Davis. And I think he will be a number 1 receiver in this offense, if not a number 2 receiver. He is a very exciting prospect and a guy that can immediately make an impact, right? He's older, so he's not going to be here long. He's going to have 1 year of eligibility. He's going to come in, he's going to make his statement, and he's going to try to go to the NFL. I think there's a lot of positives from that, right? You're going to get a guy that's very hungry. He knows this is it. So no light injuries are going to keep him off the field. He is going to go out there. He is going to get it done. Now, we are going to see a jump up in talent, right? And I think if you're looking at him analytically, there's only 1 year of going again or of getting a high amount of snaps and a high amount of targets. And so you got to take that into account. My thought with him is I expect big things. I do expect some adjustment period to being in the Big 12, right? Being against tougher competition, game in and game out. But I mean, could it be a more perfect scenario for Ryan Davis where you have the same quarterback, the same coordinator? I mean, I love Utah's game plan here where it is like, hey, Ryan, I mean, you got to imagine there was a conversation with Beck and they said, tell us who you want us to get. Who on that team do we need to bring over to Utah, and how important are they to you? Give me a dollar, not dollar value amount, but like what percentage of our offensive NIL pool would you like to commit to this guy, right? And I think it's a really good sign because we're getting the guys that he wants, and I think it's exciting. So with Ryan Davis in particular, my thoughts on his low end and his high end. Before I do so, make sure you guys comment down below on how low you think it could be. If it's a rough season for him, how high you think it could be. I want to know what you guys are thinking. But my thought is this: I think worst case scenario, this is like a guy that, if this were to happen, if he were to not have a very impactful season, I'd say it's because one of our young guys steps up and really starts to make plays, which at the end of the day is a good thing for us. But I would imagine what we'd be looking at there is he becomes a 3 or 4 receiver in this offense, or the 2, which he can feed too. So I'm actually going to go ahead and say about 450 receiving yards is the floor for this guy. Kind of just a consistent 3 to 4 catches a game for 12 to 15 yards or 10 to 15 yards. That's kind of what I see the floor for this guy, right? A 40 to 50 yards a game in, game out, 450 to 500 yards is the floor. Now, in the middle, I would say probably close to the floor. I'd say it's probably 600 yards maybe, where it's like the most realistic expectation is he takes a bit of a step down, maybe can't create the same separation he's used to creating. Going against tougher corners, I'd say it's 550 to 600 yards. And then on the high end, I think what you would expect is something in the 750 plus. Obviously, you could say 1,300, but I think we're going to be looking at 750 to 800 yards is kind of like the realistic big expectation for this guy as a number 1 or number 2 receiver in this offense, a bona fide playmaker, and a guy that we'd all be excited to have. That's kind of where I see his ceiling. I think he's going to be a very good player. And as I've mentioned so many times, guys, a 750-yard receiver is the most receiving yards we've had in I don't know how long. You can go back quite a few seasons and not see it. Just to prove my point, I am going to just start going back, and we will just go until we find a receiver that had 750 yards. And not a tight end, a wide receiver. Okay, guys, a wide receiver that had 750 yards. Last year, our highest receiver was Dorian Singer with 702 yards, and that is by far the best receiver season we've had in a long time. Going to 2023, best receiver was Devon Bailey, 593 yards. Going to 2022, best receiver was Devon Bailey, 695 yards. Going to 2021, best receiver was Britton Covey, 514 yards. Going to 2020, it was Britton Covey, 264 yards. Jeez, oh, Lou, that was a rough year. That was a 6-game year. So that's really, you average that out. That's, like 200 or 500 yards. Then going back to 2019, we've got Brian Thompson for 461. Going back to 2018, man, this is taking a while. Going back to 2018, it's Britton Covey for 637 yards. Going back to 2017, it is Darren Carrington for 980 yards. So 2017 would be the last time we had a guy break 750 yards. He did break it by a lot, to be fair, in 2017. But that's kind of what we're talking about here, guys. If he does what he did last year, matches it perfectly, he will have had the best wide receiver season for Utah since 2017. Now, this past year, we had, Dorian Singer do a good job, but I think Ryan Davis is super exciting. So if you're not excited about him, I hope this gave you some context. I think he's going to be the number 1 or number 2 receiver in this offense, and he's going to live well. I mean, they wouldn't have went and gotten him had they not expected him to come in here and be a playmaker. So I'm super excited, guys. Smash the like button. Comment down below. I want to know what you guys think about Ryan Davis. Am I overhyping him, underhyping him? Let me know what you think. And like I said, guys, a bunch of videos coming after this. The videos are going to be coming at you all day. So subscribe to the channel, press the notification bell, and Merry Christmas to you guys. I hope you're with your loved ones. And I got another video to make. I'm out. Go Utes.